are blessed here to have Scotty Diablo on the show. How's it going, Scott?
Scotty.
Oh, Scott. That's right. Sorry, Scotty.
It's going well. How are you doing, buddy?
Oh man, the cool thing, full disclosure, of course, I've known Scotty since, way back in the day, and
How
I
far
thought
back?
and I know I want to talk about your book, that you've got, that coming out right now, and it was Street Freaks.
Mm-hmm. Street Freaks.
But I think I was watching one of your things on Instagram, and you kind of broke down the era it came from, and the total crazy part is I was just talking to my brother literally like last night, and having not seen your thing, he's like, you know what? I should write a story about that exact time period, like our growing up, because it was such a unique time. I'm sure everybody, that's of any age probably thinks, oh, whatever, we had a special time growing up. But it seemed like the late 80s were something that was like a little more unique, especially in comparison to now and even before. But
sure,
we'll get into that.
Yeah,
The
totally.
one thing, even before I found out about Street Freaks, was what was kind of cool is that, everybody that I've interviewed, I like to see like when you were in high school, what was your goal for life? You know what I mean? Like, what did you want to do? And it seemed like with you've always been into music,
Always.
and you actually did it. But like, how did that, like, when you were in high school, what was your goal? Like, what did you want Scotty Diablo to be?
Well, it started off with breakdancing in the 80s. And then when I graduated high school, my ultimate goal was, honestly, I wanted to be an A&R guy for a record label. Because I admired guys like Rick Rubin, who obviously was a label owner and a producer, but he was also the ultimate A&R guy too.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to do is I wanted to come to Hollywood, find bands, go to clubs, and sign them to deals. That was like my ultimate goal. And
now was that because you were so young? Was that a difficult thing, or because I remember going, with you to several clubs of some of your bands, but like you already had them at that point. But like, how do you go about that? You're like, I'm a dude that's into music. Like, you just started going to clubs, or how's that work?
Yeah, I started going to clubs, and then I had a buddy that said, hey, I've got this friend from high school, and she's got this new band from San Diego, and they're playing tonight. You want to go? And I said, sure. So we went, and I absolutely fell in love with them in 2 seconds, halfway through the first song. And I was like, you know what? I should just manage this band. That's the thing that popped in my head. And I had never managed a band, and I've never played an instrument. So the natural thing for me was like, how about if I just manage this band? And then that's my kind of toe in the water to the music business.
Okay.
Even though it is a small scale thing for me, I 1 foot forward, got to go do it, right? So
now, what does that entail as far as when you're managing a band? It's just like getting gigs, or what is that?
Yeah, I booked them tons of gigs up in Hollywood and down in San Diego, and I think we did a couple in Las Vegas. This was in the mid-90s, so no cell phones or anything like that. So it was, and no email. So there was a lot of cold calling. And there was a lot of going to clubs and finding the booking agent at the club or the bartender and dropping off, CDs, and EPKs with the picture of the band and all that stuff. It was literally grassroots. You got to get your knees dirty to get the gig.
Now, were you trying to, did you get them signed by anybody, or?
No, I didn't. I tried. I got them on a compilation record with this label down in San Diego, and got them some cool gigs and did that for a while. In the interim, I was faxing my resume to Jimmy Iovine and Interscope Records as well during the day from my day job. And I probably faxed my resume to Jimmy Iovine's office 10 times a week for months.
Cool.
Crickets.
Well,
That's just the way it is. In
Well,
hindsight, that's just the way it is.
I mean, can you imagine? Well, as the further that you moved up, I mean, you had several. Like, how many bands do you think you've managed? In your
In my career,
yeah.
um, I've managed probably 4 or 5,
Okay, so that's not that.
and then my
Now,
last one was a songwriter guy.
oh, okay. Because I mean, like I remember one of the craziest bands. I think everybody would love to see a show, but that you had Helvis,
That
which
was the first band I just talked about. Yeah.
oh,
Elvis.
okay. Because it was like every time like, hey, we went to see this band, wherever, and people are like, well, what type of band is it? And I was, well, it's like a punk band that sings Elvis Presley's. Like I've never not gotten a response from a person, when I say what Elvis, everyone's like, no way, I got to see him,
Yeah.
like now, so you've had Elvis, definitely a distinctive band,
Oh, yeah.
and then I know you and then of course you helped us out in the film Hostage with,
Yep.
kind of connecting us and kind of educating me on the whole music business, as far as like, hey, I want this song in my movie, and you
Right.
brought me to reality, like about how, what the process is as far as actually
Oh, yeah. It's
getting a
lengthy.
movie. And then I remember I really dug the band Moonlight Wranglers, which
Yep.
you were really tight with. I know that you. Now, was that, and Michael DeMaio was, as far as just, I think, an amazing talent. But I have liked them. I mean, there was probably when I used to go with you to watch them play, there may have been a 15 or more year gap. And I had made a different movie. Was making Hostage, and I still, like, I never forgot those guys. And I know that, people come and go and stuff like that, and relationships, but what a huge connection it was for me, that you still, you still were in contact and had,
Oh,
good
yeah.
relationship with these people. Now, where was the Moonlight Wranglers in comparison to Helvis?
So Elvis was around 96, and Moonlight Wranglers were a little bit after that. I kind of got lucky and worked with both of them. I helped the Moonlight Wranglers a lot. I wouldn't say I was their quote manager on paper. I didn't really do paper deals. It was always handshake because, that was the more punk rock thing to do, right?
Uh-huh.
And historically, artists don't trust a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it was always handshake with me. Anyway, so with the Moonlight Wranglers, look, at the end of the day, it's all about the music and the songs.
Yeah.
If they're not good, I'm not interested. Not to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but I'm drawn to like really good songs and good front people.
Yeah.
And as you know, seeing Elvis, the front guy was out of control. Great. And Moonlight Mikey, who I call Moonlight Mikey, who did, he did the music for Hostage. He was like Charles Bukowski meets some dirtbag lounge singer
Yeah.
in Skid Row of downtown LA. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
But he had that thing about him that I loved.
And he was definitely a character. I mean, of course,
Yes.
I knew him in the process of. I mean, I had met him, of course, a few times, but more so during the post production of Hostage. But the crazy, like, that's what you want, though, And I told him not just again sucking up to him, but it was like I had no idea. I saw him live, and he likes to downplay it, like, oh, I'm a lounge singer. But
Right.
he sent me, I believe, almost all of his catalog.
Yep.
It blows me away the talent that guy had. Or even the band, but I think a lot of it was him.
Yep.
And he likes to deflect. He gives a lot of credit to you on a couple songs. And I think his producing partner's last name is Pike.
Yeah, Adam Pike.
Adam Pike. Yeah, but it's like I listen to this stuff and I'm like, man, how were they not bigger? I mean, it's.
And trust me, they played a lot of shows in the late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of shows. They were the weekly band. I know we're going off topic here, but they were the weekly band at this little club in Palms, which, I don't know if you know where Palms is. It's like tucked between the 10 freeway and the 405.
Oh, okay.
There was a little club called Stevie Joe's Supper Club, right? And they were the house band every weekend. And they were absolutely incredible. I went to almost every show with him. He'd pick me up in his car, and we'd go to the show every weekend. And
he sounded great though. He sounded great live though too, didn't he?
Oh, amazing, absolutely amazing. Sat up there. He had his drink with him. It was like it was, Dean Martin.
He seemed like he had that older soul, like he was an older performer. But again, when I listened to his music, I mean, he had that like an album was like more like Spanish music, and then he would sing like covers of like I always. In fact, well, quick rewind about Hostage is I contacted you because I liked that song by Danzig, Mother. And I was like, how can I get that in this movie? And then you pretty much brought me into reality that was probably a little too expensive. But
it's not going to happen.
Like when I would love to have had him, Michael sing Mother. I think if they did it in a Moonlight Wranglers way, and I know after talking with you, still have to pay Danzig, but still, I think it'd be worth it that he would nail it. Because, I mean, he did Ain't Talking About Love with, Van Halen. He's done I think he did Anything from Dramarama, but totally in his own way. But it's like, I am a fan, and I have had so many people, because I have a lot of his stuff on my, Instagram Reels and whatever. People are always, whether it's DMing me or putting a straight comments like, who is this? Who's this band? And I just think, man, it's like making it, maybe we can talk about this, making it in the entertainment business, I think it's harder than making it as an actor. I mean, there must just be so much. I don't know if there's levels. I mean, what do you think about that?
There's too many gatekeepers.
Yeah.
And I don't care if you're in music, if you're in tech, if you're in film, whatever. It's all these people who think they're a musician.
Yeah.
That can push the green button to get a budget approved. They're the ones that are making all the decisions like, nah, it's not happening. You're not getting this deal because you don't have enough followers on Instagram or MySpace or whatever it is. They're always moving the goalposts. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. And that was the hardest part, I think, for me, as far as, again, I've said it on other podcasts, but when you try to do all the right things, whether, hey, get an agent, getting this, when I've had my book published, all these different things, but it's like you're always one step away, no matter what it is. They'll find another reason. And I'm like, how does so much crap get made? You know what I mean? When you're watching, whether it's Netflix or whatever, you're like, okay, when you're sifting through my screenplay and looking for like a tiny, okay, well, how does this work with that? Yet then, you're seeing some crap. I won't even bring up stories, but you're seeing some other things. You're like, how did that get by? But evidently there is. I always said that I think that Hollywood was like this beautiful castle, and there's that moat around it, and in that moat is the casting directors, and the agents and
also the sharks.
But that's who it is, because it seems like once you get in there, then you start meeting people with money. Then you start then you can get your projects made. But it's like getting there is I've had way more doors open since I financed Hostage myself, than I ever had before, as far as people talking or people wanting to, hey, I want to do this for another movie or whatever you're doing. But it's just getting in there. Now, do you think, because I believe that Hollywood is changing. It's like it's decentralizing with YouTube, these vertical dramas that are happening, and the crap that mainstream Hollywood is putting out. And it seems, whether, with Obsession was an amazing film, and I think there was that Backrooms. But it's like, is there that sort of thing in the music industry too? Or is it still pretty much gatekept?
Well, I mean, the music industry has always had an underground, dating back to the old punk rock and the origins of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? They've always done it from the park or the sweaty club in downtown LA, the punk band. And
Now,
it takes years for the industry to catch up to that. But I love that part of it.
well, now, here's the thing, is with the music, and I don't want to keep harping it going to the 80s.
No,
but
no.
when we had music, though, like whatever your station, like I couldn't wait to get you on the show because I want to know, like, what type of music you're into because you have an eclectic taste.
Yes.
But it's like you used to have a country station, you'd have the hard rock station, you'd have like a different rock station. You had the oldies, K Earth 101 or whatever. You had K Rock, which was like, at least my music that I was into, like they brought up these bands like Social Distortion. There's so many bands that made it, like from Orange County and stuff. But you had, and then you had the hip hop stations. You had the harder hip hop, the more like jazz stuff. But it's like now, how does it seems like it's either harder or easier. How does a band get found now? Because it seems like all you're listening to is crap on Sirius, which is I'm regurgitating. Oh, I like the Eagles or I like whoever, but like how does a band get noticed?
Well, it's the same way. It's the same thing with everything. You're fighting with the algorithm. I mean, straight up. Back in the day, you'd go open up the LA Times calendar section on a Sunday before the internet showed up, and you'd read about Social Distortion, a huge piece about them. Or you would go to Tower Records and get the Tower magazine.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
the free one, right? And you'd flip through it. You'd flip through, a Billboard if you're into the music business. Nowadays, it's like every 2 seconds, your Instagram feed is showing you a different band paying money for an ad to try to get you drawn into what they're doing, right? And we're in a culture now where we're scrolling. And what killed scrolling was TikTok. Or actually, it was Tinder, the dating app. Where you swipe right?
Yeah.
So we all became swiping people. And so our attention span's 0.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Well,
so anyway, to go back to your question, I don't know.
Well, again, we'll have a million side notes, but did you ever think of getting into radio? Like, because think about when we were younger, somebody like, and he wasn't even like a polished guy, but remember Rodney on the Rock?
Of course.
But it's like, I talk about just a great time to be alive, but I remember seeing Social Distortion, TSOL, Black Flag. I was really into Black Flag. All these different bands, like in these small warehouse parties in Orange County. But man, Rodney would get him on his freaking, and remember he's always like talking super boring. But, but think about how many shows that little radio station, K-Rock, how many bands that it broke. I mean, because you have a great ear, have you ever thought of getting into radio?
No, because there's no money in radio. No, I mean, look, I did have my own radio show back in the mid 2000s. There was this guy in downtown LA who had an early internet 24-hour streaming service called Little Radio.
Okay.
And I had my own radio show every Sunday for 4 hours, and I would spin vinyl records and talk and do all that stuff. And would I back in the day gone into radio? Absolutely, I would love to do that. Because in hindsight, I don't know.
Because I think about like your oh really? Because I think about like your ear, and it just reminded me again. And I was not a fan of Rodney on the Rock, but all you hear is how many people, like he evidently had an ear, because now it seems like things are so corporate, and I mean, and it got that way, as the '90s progressed, music started, like stations started kind of combining and stuff like that. But it's like, I don't know. I just think to actually have, and maybe you're too inundated. Because, again, in the movie business, you make a movie, the amount of scripts that I get, and I'm just Antigone Productions, very, very small, one movie, or we did Reluctant Justice, so 2 movies. But the amount of scripts that I get unsolicited, and I mean, some of them are probably good, and that's just me. Can you imagine what, CAA or Paramount Pictures or whoever bigger companies, they're probably just getting inundated. So then you've got to give a job to some dude making minimum wage reading this stuff, and it's like we talked about the gatekeepers. It's like,
Yep.
how do you get, if you were going to start a radio station, you would probably be so inundated with people's music that you couldn't even sift through all the,
Okay, well, here's a good example, though. Don't forget, I worked at MTV for almost a decade.
Oh, yeah. Now, so real quick, how did you get there? You were managing bands. How did you, what was your next step in your game? So
in the early 2000s, I was working at a music distribution company, and this old guy came in because we were like handling merchandise. Internet was just happening.
Okay.
Very archaic to like order stuff. And his son needed merchandise warehoused, and shipped out. So he came in, he had a meeting with the team. There was like 5 of us. And his son was Pete Yorn.
Oh, no way. Wow.
Yeah. So he leaves the meeting. This is a true story. He leaves the meeting. I run out of the building. And I said, because he had mentioned in the meeting that they were going to go out on tour in about 3 weeks. I run out there and I said, listen, I know this is going to sound really weird, but I've always wanted to go on the road with a band. It's like a bucket list thing of mine. If you guys are hiring for Pete, I would love to go out and try it out. I'm really serious about this. And I was probably, I don't know, I was in my early 30s. Probably too old to do it. But he said, look, okay, cool. And I had been dealing with him for a while, previous to that. He said, look, let me go home and I'll talk to Pete and the team, and then I'll get back to you. I said, all right, cool. They offered me a gig. I'm going to speed it up. They offered me a gig. I quit this job, gave him a 2-week notice. And 3 weeks later, I'm in the parking lot of Tower Records on Sunset, watching Pete do a record release free show in the afternoon. And then I literally got on my first tour bus. I didn't know anybody.
Wow, that's cool.
And that night, I woke up in my own hotel room in San Francisco, and that's where the journey began.
Now, how long was that tour?
That tour was about 6 weeks. And that was with a band called Granddaddy and a band called Rooney. Now, Rooney was fronted by the Tyler Shire. Is that her name from Rocky?
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Her
Yeah.
son.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A Coppola kid.
Yeah.
So they were cool. They were like power pop stuff. Anyway, did the 6-week tour. I went coast to coast, and I went everywhere. I'd never done that before. And I thought, this is a dream job. I'm getting paid.
Oh, yeah, and you're getting paid?
To be
awesome.
on the road with my own bunk on the bus, whatever. So then we do that tour, and then they call me back up, and they're like, hey, we're going out for another 6 weeks with the Foo Fighters.
Oh,
and I was like, great.
Dang.
Great, let's do it. So I ended up on the road with the Foo Fighters and Pete for another 6 weeks. This was the summer of 2003. And then I ended up with another band, Granddaddy, which was from the first tour. They loved me, so they poached me away. And then they ended up taking me to Europe, and I did all of Europe and the big festivals with Granddaddy in a bus. And I mean, I've had some pretty incredible, weird opportunities.
Oh,
all because I followed Pete's dad out to the car in the parking lot.
But isn't that, I mean, that's something, too, you try to teach people as far as going for it. Everyone, it seems like a lot of people are so hesitant, to step out. Oh, it might be embarrassing. It might be this or that. But look at what happened with you. And I would say, and again, I made this comment like about actors. There's never a need for an actor to be nervous at an audition, because the guys on my side of the table want you to be the guy. We're not like, oh, it's going to be embarrassing. Everyone's going to laugh at you. No, the deal, just like that guy, that would have impressed the heck out of me to have this kid that I was in the meeting, come running out and asking me that, even if he didn't do it. But look at, because trust me, there was like 9 ways for that to go the wrong, for him to say no. It'd be very easy for him to say no. But he actually went back, talked to his people, and, the one chance you made it. So
and the Yorn family, all due credit. They're the most incredible. They were very, very, very hospitable people, very cool people. Leading up to the tour and getting ready and sitting down with the bigger management company.
Now, what was your job on it? Like, what were you doing on that first one?
I was the merchandise kid.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So
I mean,
you knew
look,
that.
I don't know how to play an instrument. I've never tour managed, and I took any opportunity I could. I've always adopted the who directed Jaws again?
Spielberg.
I've always adopted the Spielberg thing. He said once, I started off sweeping the floors and cleaning the popcorn machines and working at the theater, and I worked my way up through the whole ecosystem. And that was my thinking at the time. I will start whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And then I got on the road, which I've never done, and it was a free, quick education of the road.
Oh yeah.
And I literally, like, the whole tour was sponsored by AT&T. So we stayed in like the best W hotels through the whole thing. It was actually pretty incredible.
Dang, that's cool.
It was a pretty incredible ride. You know what I mean?
Now, so then when you transitioned to the other band, did you still do merchandise, or were you then kind of doing more tour managing?
No, I was more like more of the higher up in the crew.
Okay.
Like, I did a little drum teching. I did a little bit of like helping the tour manager, dealing with like hotel stuff and all the picadillo, dealing with the bus driver and all that kind of stuff.
Now, having been there at some of these big shows, does it make you look at concerts differently if you go as like a fan? Like, now you know how this stuff works?
Yeah, that's why I won't go to a festival, because if I don't get backstage, I'm not going.
Because,
I know that sounds totally ridiculous.
No,
but once you're on that side of the line, it's too tough.
Well, the crazy thing is, I had some great memories with you. What your buddies put on this beach festival. I remember Dick Dale played.
Doheny Music Festival.
Yes, and I think but that was huge, bro.
Huge.
And I mean, and I was just there. Like, you gave me some, cool job backstage. I don't even know why I was standing around eating, drinking, but it was so cool to watch that thing work.
Yes.
And the crazy thing to me was, again, from my perspective, it was like some young guys that you guys were doing, and that was a major operation.
Oh,
what I mean? That was a big deal. You had some pretty big bands at the time. Yeah. Like the Violent Femmes. I've been a fan of several, but it was cool for me as a complete outsider to watch bands work, not on stage so much as like as they get prepared, as they're walking up and doing whatever. Like Dick Dale was probably the coolest guy. The guy's been doing it forever, but he seemed like he was the most relaxed.
Young little son was like 9 years
he played
old.
the drums. At least that show, he was playing the drums.
Yeah.
But but I just think going there and watching that work, I can see how it would be, intoxicating. If you could do that as a living. So you then transitioned to another band, and then what happened after that?
So I did my touring, and then I literally went from a Prevost bus. I don't know if you know what a Prevost is. It's like the most like top tier tour buses.
Okay.
The really nice ones you see behind the venues.
Uh-huh.
It's called a Prevost bus. It's just like, a bus. Anyway, I literally went from Pete Yorn, Foo Fighter, Granddaddy Prevost buses, and then I went down to an Eagle, which is like an old 80s bus.
Oh,
and I toured with this band called Year of the Rabbit. They were on Elektra Records. And we did a tour with A Perfect Circle with Maynard from Tool.
Uh-huh.
And Josh Freese was on the drummer. Great guy, by the way. We ended up leaving North Hollywood on this tour. The first date was in Columbus, Ohio.
Oh, shit.
We had to drive straight from North Hollywood in this Eagle bus. That's the brand of the bus or the make. Mm-hmm. That was used by Poison in the 80s.
Oh, sure, okay.
And that was like the biggest joke on that tour was like, oh God, we're on Poison's bus. It was pretty funny. Yep.
Well, now, so from there, because I thought it was so cool, especially, I mean, in our lives, you got to work at MTV. But how did you transition from being a tour manager to getting to MTV?
Okay, so right after not the Foo Fighters, right after the Year of the Rabbit, that tour, I tour managed this small band from Orange County called The Willows.
Okay.
WILLOWZ. They were from Anaheim.
Mm-hmm.
And they had one song of Michel Gondry's movie, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that.
So their mom was a friend of my buddy. They went to high school together, and they were looking for a tour manager, and they had no booking agent. And I said, you know what? I'll book the tour. I booked an entire U.S. Canadian tour by myself.
Dang.
On the phone and on email. I routed the tour. I did the tour book, and I drove the van pulling the trailer. So I literally, going back to Pete Yorn, I went from the Prevost bus to the 18-passenger van driving it, which is fine. I loved it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I have no problem with that. I actually love every step of the creative process.
Okay.
So I'm on tour with them. We did a couple tours, and then we ended up at South by Southwest in Austin. And we played this show, and an old buddy of mine from here in LA texted me, and he said, hey, and he worked at MTV. Hey, I'm in Austin. Where are you? And I said, oh, I'm over at this club. Come check out the band I'm working with. He's like, great. I'll be there at 5 o'clock or whatever. So he comes to the show, and the show's over, and he literally comes up to me and he goes, when's this tour done? When are you done with this? I said, I'm done with this tour this weekend. I will be back. I was living in Echo Park. I'll be back in Echo Park by Monday or Tuesday. And he goes, tell you what, when you come back, call me, and I want you to come down to my office at MTV in Santa Monica. I said, okay, cool. So I come home, I drive home, whatever, drop off all the gear, do all that stuff, call him. So I go to his office, like literally 4 days later, and I get in there, and he literally says, all right, man, I think you're too old to be on the road with bands, so you need to come work at MTV, just like that.
Dang.
And I was like, well, I've never worked on a television show. And he goes, it's not rocket science, dude.
Wow, that's cool.
So he calls this girl in the office. She comes in, and he goes, this is Diablo. I'm putting him on your show. He starts next Monday. And I was like, okay. So I met her, and now I'm working at MTV.
Dude,
it was completely random.
Now, were you working primarily like on reality shows, or was it like a music-based show?
Well, I worked on reality shows at first, like those dating shows. And then I worked on a 3-6 Mafia show that we had called Adventures in Hollywood. And then I worked on Pimp My Ride.
Oh, wow, okay.
I did. I worked on Pimp My Ride. And then I worked on The Hills.
Wow, yeah, that was big for a minute.
I'm just a music coordinator. I'm not the music supervisor on these shows. Just the coordinator. Because I've never done it before. So it doesn't really justify me to be like, oh, you're a music supervisor. There's the whole step.
Yeah.
You have to work your way up to it. So then he comes to me 2 or 3 years in, and he goes, look, man, why don't you just come work on the corporate side in the main building? And I said, yeah, that's fine. So I ended up getting a job, well, same company, but it's kind of complicated. There's a separate production company for the shows, and then there's the mothership MTV company. I'm sure you understand all that.
Yeah.
The levels of production companies. So I went and got a job at the mothership, which was right next door. And then I worked there for a long time.
Okay.
Dealing with music supervisors, doing songs for trailers for shows,
Okay.
Helping music supervisors source music, that signing bands for their music to go in shows, tons of bands.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and I did that for a long time, and I even did the re-record of the original MTV Moon Man theme for for the Jackass movies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
so yeah, I did a whole bunch of like really cool little projects, which to this day I'm proud of.
Well, I mean, and the cool thing, like, I mean, you've done even more than I thought, but it's like you were able to, you have an interest in music, and then even when you started working at MTV and then you went to the corporate side, you still, I was thinking, oh no, now you're going to have some sort of a desk job and it's going to be super lame. But you did.
Oh, I did have a desk job in theory, yes.
But it seems like you were still doing stuff. You're still doing stuff within music. It wasn't like, I know that, like, just a normal job in a cubicle. You were actually doing something that you loved. Now, and you said how many years at MTV?
I was there for like 9 years.
Wow. Yeah. Now, was there, and first of all, what a cool friend you had. I mean, you can look in your life and there's like different points, where people could or couldn't have helped you. That guy did. Look at that one meeting at South by Southwest, gets you to MTV, and then freaking pulls you over to the. I just think that's what you want to be. You want to be that guy. You don't want to be the the crabs in the bucket. You don't want to be the guy pulling someone else down. I hope you have friends that want to pull you up.
But he reminded me of the guy that I ran, Pete Yorn's dad.
Oh, okay.
When I ran to the car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was kind of like that weird.
Yeah, that guy too.
It was kind of like that weird lightning in the bottle moment.
Mm-hmm.
I tried for the Pete Yorn's dad. With him, it was more like, I need somebody like you working with me.
Yeah.
Which, I appreciate that. One of my favorite quotes is "Go where you're wanted."
100%.
It's totally true.
But it is I mean, human nature is an interesting thing. Mm-hmm. Because especially it's no more evident than in the entertainment business. A lot of times people don't want competition. They don't want authentic people or people who are, say, more creative than they are, or you know what I mean? They want to be the big guy in the room. Even if it means we all fail. You look at, I mean, I wouldn't even point it out, but you look at several big movie companies and big people, and you see they would rather fail, you know what I mean, than collaborate or whatever. So that being said, I know.
Because they didn't make the decision.
Yes. And I mean, and it's, man, when we go back to signing bands or me, like selling screenplays, or especially selling screenplays, a lot easier to sell one than it is to get one made. But it just seems like by the amount of unique people, we'll say, that you have to encounter in order to make a movie that want to put their fingerprint, even if it's not bad or it's not improving the film. They just want, hey man, this is my job. Everyone's got to have a say in it, so I can say, hey, yeah, whatever that little thing was, that was mine. But the true, like when you run into true creative people, it's a different. It's a total different vibe. And that's what I just think is cool. I've always loved to be around, people like yourself that are genuinely not like, hey, I want to be in the music business because it's cool. You know what I mean?
I was never motivated by that.
And I want to be in the music business so like maybe I don't have to work. Or whatever, because you got to hustle. Look at all the, if anyone takes anything from this conversation we're having, it's look at how hard you've worked. You're not. You've never sat there and been like, I'm laying on my couch and freaking Steven Spielberg said, hey, come over here and make this movie with me. You didn't wait for that. You had a meeting with Peter Yorn's dad. You were the one that went out and made your break. But also, what an interesting thing that Peter Yorn was still working with his dad. There's a lot of like different family dynamics with bands, and that's kind of a cool little side story.
Well, I'll say this, like, as far as the Yorn clan's concerned, it's like Pete's dad, great guy, and then the brothers. There's Kevin Yorn, who's like the biggest Hollywood attorney. He does everybody. Jim Carrey to everybody. And then there's Rick Yorn, who manages Scorsese. He's always managed him.
Oh, shoot, I didn't know that.
And, oh, yeah. So that's Rick Yorn. He does Scorsese. He does Leo DiCaprio. Everybody. And he's one of the co-founders of the Firm. Do you remember that management company?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was one of the
I
co-founders.
had no idea. I thought Peter Yorn was just himself.
Nope.
I had no idea.
And then there's Pete. Pete was the youngest.
Wow.
But I will tell you,
he seems like a 100% talented guy.
Oh yeah, the salt of the earth, great guy. You know, that whole family is just very, very motivated.
Wow.
And
See, and that's a good word.
I loved seeing that. I was like, I'm young and dumb in this music game, so to speak. I'm trying to find my way. And to be around those people, like during meetings and stuff like that, I was like, wow, these guys are pretty inspiring. You know what I mean? So it rubs off on me. And, you know, look, another famous, or not a famous quote, another favorite quote of mine is passion is infectious. Like, I love that too. And when people are like super passionate around me, like, I love that. And I hope that I radiate that for people. All coming down to the love of music, really.
So now after, so while you're working at MTV, were you also dabbling in bands too, or were you just exclusively doing your MTV stuff?
No, I was managing bands.
Oh, okay.
I actually had to get it cleared with the company to do it. So I found this band in Austin, Texas during South by Southwest. A friend of mine from Memphis was playing, so I went to his showcase. And we went a little early. Actually, we went a lot early. And this band opened for them. And again, it was that Helvis thing when I first saw Helvis, the first band I managed. Yeah. One song in, I looked at my friend and I said, holy fuck, I got to work with these guys.
That's cool.
Oh my God. They were like Captain Beefheart meets like the Sex Pistols. It was ridiculous. It's probably the wrong description. But anyway.
No.
And literally, I go back to MTV. I leave Austin, don't even talk to them. I go back to MTV. I email them, and I said, oh, I saw you down in Austin. I would love to talk to you guys. I've been a manager in the past, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, that sounds great. I literally flew back to Austin a week later to go meet the band.
Oh,
and
okay.
I started managing them.
Now, how long did that last?
About 3 or 4 years, I think.
Okay.
I got them 2 record deals and a music publishing deal. I got them a deal with Downtown Music, which was Gnarls Barkley's label.
Yes.
And got him a deal with them. And then I got him a deal with this little UK label called Full Time Hobby. So
now, go ahead.
My whole thinking, I know this is going to get into the weeds. My whole thinking with this type of music at the time, this was 2007, 8, was let's go to Europe first and blow up there first because they will appreciate this music. And then hopefully there'll be a blowback to the US and we'll get a deal here. So I started off with the little record deal over there. And they did very well. They sold a ton of records, believe it or not, physical records, which was great. And then by the time it was time to like get into the U.S. market, because I carved out that market in the deal, I ended up going after Downtown Records, and they loved it, and we signed a deal with them, and they've done very well.
I mean, you would be way better to talk about it than me, but with the first film I did, Reluctant Justice, I was able to have this guy from Dramarama. His name is John Easdale. I don't know if you remember that name.
Of course. He lives in Whittier.
Yeah. It's crazy. But so he did some music for that movie. And but getting to know him and then talking about like that anything song was like huge. You know, I mean, he was on David Letterman, but he kind of gave me a little glimpse into the, to the world. But mainly what blew me away is the way these contracts, at least early, I mean, he must have done that one in the early 80s, contracts, like there was maximums. I mean, he thought they're a garage band and they had that song. Right. And when they signed it, and he thought we're going to be millionaires. You know, and what a shock he was. You know, what a shock he had. I mean, he's made a good life for himself, but
Sure.
it's like he's had some hits, but he said he never had a hit as big as he said it's your second contract. You know, you're usually like, I think he was pointing to No Doubt. Remember the band No Doubt? They had a first album that didn't do really well, and then their second album blew up, and I guess that's what you want to do, because whether they can renegotiate stuff or whatever it is. But he said they didn't make nearly what they thought or what everyone thinks that you're going to make when you do that album. And he said
They nickel and dime you on those contracts.
And he felt it was set up. It was like set up to keep you continually indebted to them. Yes. And same thing with tours. I ended up meeting a guy from the band Rat. And he was talking about their first tour. Yeah, you're perfect to speak to this. But he said their first tour, he said there again, they've had some hits. It was a smaller venues, but probably like the Grove size. You know, they're not doing 18,000, maybe 5 to 10.
The Grove in Anaheim.
Yeah, right? Grove in Anaheim. However big that is. But he said it was a good tour, but they took off thinking they were Van Halen. You know, he said, and they give you a rider. And I didn't know what that was, but I guess it's what do you want at each of your backstages? And they're like, we want freaking Lowenbrow beer, and we want whatever, the most expensive.
Clean pair of socks, Jack Daniels, all of it.
He said they got back, and they're like, okay, man, where are my millions? And they owed like an incredible amount of money. And he said, and again, maybe you can speak on this. He said, if you can tour, which they got better, if you know how to tour, you can make money on a tour. He said you just can't do what they did. You know what I mean? You can't live that lifestyle that he said probably Van Halen did, and they did it for the videos. But it's like, not everyone's taking jets. Not everyone's drinking, whatever you want. But he said they learned, they were better, but at the same time, he lives in a modest house. He's not living in Beverly Hills. But it's, like, the perception is clearly different than the reality, I guess.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
Now, what you've done, do you think there are ways to make money on tours?
Yeah, merch.
Okay, so that's the big thing. But it's, I mean,
look, it depends on the size of band you are, and how much you're making per night, and how many people you're taking out on crew.
Okay.
And if you have a tour bus, tour buses they're great, but for a young band, they're a money pit. You have to pay for the bus. You have to pay for the bus. You have to pay for the driver. You have to pay for the gas. You have to pay for the driver's day room at a hotel while you're doing, you know what I mean? There's a lot of expense. So,
like, when does it transition from, you're always trying to promote the band, but where you're making more money? Like, I've noticed, like, bring them up again, Social Distortion. They do, like, every year they do these House of Blues tours. Now, is that about the size of a venue that you can start making money? I mean, they sell out their stuff all the time, but I mean, it seems like their venues are like that size. They play in a place in Bakersfield, which is a little bigger, like maybe the Grove style size, but they're never like going to the the Forum and places like that. But I mean, are you still, if you have like a House of Blues tour, you're going to make some money?
Yeah, and it depends on who you're dealing with as the promoter.
Okay.
If you're doing a deal with like Live Nation, I'm sure you've heard of Live Nation. Yeah. Sometimes they'll give you money up front to do the tour. And if they own all the House of Blues, which I believe they do, you're playing in their house. So they're they'll give you money up front to do that. But again, all the expenses, there's so many expenses at the end of the day.
Yeah.
One band that I was with, I'm not going to name them, but they said to me during the tour years and years ago is, we're the last to get paid.
Oh,
we don't get a check until the tour's over. You know what I mean? So we need to sell merch. We need to sell signed vinyl records and CDs at the time.
All right.
You know what I mean? And sometimes the label, they won't touch that stuff, or they buy the vinyl and the CDs from the label at a cut rate price, $5 a pop. And then the bands will jack up the price at the merch table.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I mean, kind of similarly, with like I'm going through distribution and
Mm-hmm.
with Hostage, and it's like certain territories will give you an advance, but because the best part about I guess the time now is you can find this stuff out. You can find out where your movie's playing. You can find out all way more information than
The
when I
analytics are way better.
oh it's when I did Reluctant Justice, which was like 95. You signed with the distributor, and then you just hoped. You cross your fingers, you pray that someone's going to pay you. What I found out, well, you had to get lawyers involved, but
Sure.
all we were getting was that initial advance. And people laugh. Oh yeah, once you get an advance from a territory, you're never going to get any more. I mean,
Nope.
with I mean, in this situation with Reluctant Justice, you didn't know unless you're physically present. I happen to have an actor was in Mexico at a resort, and the movie was being played on their pay-per-view. So he called me. He's like, "Hey, bro, I just got our movie. This is awesome. It's on pay-per-view." I was like, "What?" So I immediately I try to play it cool with the distributor, like, "Hey, is there any interest in Mexico?" And he's like, "No." And then I'm like, "Well, I told him the story about the actor, and he's like, "Oh well, we'll look into it." Of course, at that point, no more phone calls were returned,
Of
and
course.
I mean, then you have to get a lawyer. But it seemed like we had to pay, for every dollar. In order to make $2, we had to spend $1. It's like every step of the way, we had to pry it out of their fingers. But now, with like you're saying, there's dashboards, there's analytics, yet you can see where it's at. But I've kind of been told that with a lot of foreign countries, that initial advance is pretty much what you're going to get. So I don't know if that's changed in music, but and again, according to John Easdale and different places, it's like it's pulling teeth sometimes. Getting money.
Yeah, because
From
then you
record.
have to spend money to hire a forensic
Yes.
accountant to go in and say, I'm going to audit you. And then they push you off for a couple years.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
not immediate, right?
you have to get like in my situation, I had a friend who was a lawyer, and that guy sent a letter to this distribution company, and they're like, "Huh?" I mean, it was so I had to go. We got like back in the day, we had to go to a noted um, law firm. It was Leonard Dicker and Schreiber at the time, they were a big one. But just their letter, they just sent a letter like, "Hey, this is what we're looking for." That distribution company just went, just blap. They gave all the stuff,
Of
and
course.
his point was, and we got a lot of money there. His point was, you don't give up that much unless there's more. He said, but the truth is, it's going to cost. I mean, dude, and I'm not telling you anything or anybody, but your lawyer, they time your phone calls, dude.
Oh,
Like the
of
amount that
course.
we were billed was insane. This dude will talk. He'll talk to you like for hours because he's
Start
charged.
the clock.
Oh,
Start
yeah.
the clock. Point.
Dude, when I got that first, well, our executive producer, he's the one paying for it. But he was like, "What the hell? Like, you talked to this guy for 20 minutes." After that, dude, I was like trying to I was going fast. But his deal is, you're paying him $500 or whatever an hour, and it's like, he's like, "What is it worth?" You don't want to just be throwing your money into a hole. But so, we only went so far. But hopefully now, it's a little more honest. But I just thought, man, what an interesting business that music, because people are still flocking to it. People still want to get to it. But man, do you think it's, like I said earlier, do you think it's harder to make a living, a successful living as a musical artist than it is as an actor?
It's probably the same, I'd say. There's just a lot of competition.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of artists that put their art into the world, but don't know how to monetize it.
Yes. Huge.
Right? So they'll sit around and they'll wait for their PRO check. PRO is ASCAP or BMI or CSAC or the back end royalties, or they'll wait for their Spotify royalty or their Amazon Music royalty or their Apple Music or Tidal royalty, which now is it's paltry.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
not a lot.
like when you see, oh, hey, I got 500 million views or whatever streams or whatever on Spotify. Like, what are they making? Because I'll just tell you a quick side note. In the movies, like if you're on different websites and you have 1 million views, like YouTube, whatever, it's not what you're thinking. You know, you're gonna be making like $50,000.
It's a fraction of a penny.
Yes.
So I don't know what the current rate is, to be honest with you. I will say that I managed a songwriter back in 2014, 2015, 2016 who co-wrote a pretty big Lana Del Rey song. And it was just him and her. So they were 50-50 co-write, 50-50 publishing. So I went out and got him a publishing deal based on the song was coming out. And that song has probably streamed around the world about over 1 billion times collectively. Wow. For sure. Between all the streaming services and whatnot, whatever. And he's probably, he and I don't work together anymore, but he's probably recouped his deal a couple times.
Okay.
Because, 1 billion streams, it's like millions of dollars.
Yeah, that's
millions.
Awesome.
Yep. So, good on him. He's a co-writer forever on a couple of her songs, which is great. But to put it into perspective on royalty rates, I just don't know, because I don't know what the current royalty breakdown is.
Now, is that different? Oh, I guess it would be, because I mean, the first movie I optioned was 3,000 Miles as screenplay. They never made the movie. I ended up turning it into a book. But my first contract I got from this company that was paying for me in the option, they made a mistake, I guess, as early computer times, where you can just populate the name, address, the amount of the money. Well, they had it a different name and a whole lot more money than I was getting paid. That's what they sent me, and to sign. And so that I sent it back, and I was like, hey, this is evidently it's not me. This is to somebody else.
Sure.
But it was like, it showed me, but it kind of gave me a better ground to stand on as far as the different things in his option agreement that he had that I didn't. But it also showed me that percentages are different. Everything was different.
Totally.
And what I thought was standard, which the lady told me, wasn't because of that one. So it's kind of an eye-opening. So I assume different bands make different amounts, of course, with maybe how much their fraction of the penny is, with these.
Oh, 100%. Those people like the Taylor Swifts, the Jay-Z's, the Kanye Wests of the world, they do their direct streaming deals with the streaming companies.
Well, and
so they get a higher royalty rate because those streaming companies need them.
Now, especially now, isn't also a big thing is the publishing. Like you'll have a band. Again, the guy from Rat was telling me the difference was there's the band, but then Stephen Piercy or whatever, the singer, did like he had the publishing. He wrote the songs, and I think like Guns N' Roses, it's Slash and Axl or whatever. But so they make a little more money. I guess that's kind of where the money's at.
They make the lion's share of the money.
Yeah, so that's kind of. I didn't realize how much.
So if those songs are on radio, those guys get paid. The rest of the band doesn't get paid.
Oh, really?
No.
Just, again, means nothing. I remember watching an interview with Nikki Sixx of Motley Crue, and he said he was maybe you heard it, he was in one of his, heroin times, stupors, but he said that he got offered this hot band coming up, and he knew him, named Guns N' Roses. They wanted him to produce Appetite for Destruction. And he's like, that was his biggest flub or whatever, mess up in his life, was he was too strung out. He's like, no. But he's all, that's a band that you could have just pressed record. Like they were locked in for that recording. So you could have just pressed record. And he said a producer makes like $1 a CD.
It depends. They get points for a record.
But he, maybe in his layman's terms, he said it's about $1. So he said, think about how many CDs that records that album has sold. He's all, that's how much I blew. But I was like, so it's like, how in the world, I think you had mentioned it earlier, it's like producers are making more money, the writers making more money, the band is on the bottom of the list.
They're the last to get paid, period. The catering company gets paid first.
Oh, that is,
No, it's the truth.
Yeah.
And look, my mission when I was at MTV, going back to MTV days, when I was helping these bands out or these songwriters or these artists get their music into the shows, my focus was the artists and the songs and getting really good music and talented artists into the shows to help them out, make some mailbox money on the other side through television performance of their songs on the shows, which now has become streaming, which that's a paltry royalty now that everything's streaming. But because they were the last to get paid, this was kind of an extra little avenue for them to make some extra money.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I had some guy from Long Beach from this punk band that I loved, and I licensed his song or his music, and it ended up in Jersey Shore.
Oh, wow.
And he goes, dude, I've been signed to like big labels my entire career. That's the most money I've ever made.
Really?
From those placements on TV.
Oh, that's cool.
So that just goes to show that these deals that artists have been signing over the last 10 decades are garbage.
Oh,
they're terrible. Why are the creatives always stomped? Why are we always the last to get? They want us there first for the ideas, right? But then when it's time to cut the check,
and
they're gone.
That's the hardest part about the film business, is that it's such a collaborative art.
Yes.
You can't do it by yourself, and you need all these different people, and it's like it's always been, there's creatives, and then there's the people with the money, and they are the non-creatives, but they like to be creative adjacent. You know what I mean? There's so many of those people, those hangers on.
They like to go run to LinkedIn and post how incredible they are.
Yes,
because
1,000%.
They're a part of this project. It's like, really, like what did you bring to the table besides the dollar bill?
Yeah, I mean,
and telling me I need to change this cut or this edit doesn't look good with the music bed on it. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yeah, now, so real quick, because I know that you've done a few other things now. So after the MTV, what you transitioned? I mean, I know you're doing, you're in a coffee now, but what happened in the in between time?
So I was managing the songwriter that was with Lana Del Rey. I did that. We made a couple records together that I executive produced.
Nice.
And then he ended up moving back to Glasgow, Scotland, where he's from. And then I ended up I wasn't going to do it, but I ended up picking up some film work, and I music supervised a film that with a production company called Gunpowder and Sky, who is the founder, is the old president of MTV.
Oh, wow. Okay.
From way back in the 80s. Great guy, Van Toffler. So he hired me to do a film with a guy named Scott Coffey, who directed and wrote this movie. It was called It Takes Three.
All right.
And Scott he was an old actor, and he was in that movie Some Kind of Wonderful.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was the redheaded flat top guy.
Okay.
Anyway, so I did that, and then I did a Amazon Prime television show. It's called Break Karate. Completely different. And then I got hired by Fox Television, and I went down to Mexico, and I was an on-set music consultant for 9 weeks on a shoot.
Wow. And
I sat in a trailer, and it was like 95 degrees, about 3 hours north of Cabo.
Okay.
In the sticks. And it was this dating show like Love Island. You ever seen Love Island?
Yes. Well, one of our actors was on Temptation Island.
Okay.
I had never watched it until that. Now I watched it because he was on it.
Same production company.
Okay.
This show was on Fox. It was called Paradise Hotel.
Okay. I think I remember that.
A bunch of hot people in this like resort in Mexico, and they hook up and they're voted off. Just the same old song and dance.
Yeah.
But it was great. We had on-set editor. There was 400 people were shipped to Mexico to do this show.
Dang. So now, real quick, when you say on-set editor, so it means you're shooting and they're editing that episode like right now?
Yeah, because it's a live television show.
Oh shoot. Okay, so it's like Big Brother or whatever, kind of like those type of shows?
I worked all the crew was Big Brother.
Oh, okay.
So
that would be crazy, yeah, doing that live.
All the editors, all the post-production, a lot of the writers, the segment producers, they were all came from Big Brother because Big Brother was dark. Mm-hmm. They weren't shooting. So they offered him this gig. So they literally flew over 400 people to Mexico. And I didn't know anybody. Mm-hmm. So we took over this tiny little town. And Fox Airbnb'd this entire peninsula on the beach in Mexico. And it was 24/7. Editors were working night shift and day shift, 24/7 in the trailers. It was absolutely insane.
It'd be cool to see that.
It was pretty cool. In retrospect, I miss it. It was right before COVID.
Oh,
it was about eight months before COVID hit. In retrospect, I loved it, but when we were there, we all hated it.
Yeah,
this
you're
sucks.
Right. Yeah,
the hours are so long, and anyway, that was these are opportunities that I have been lucky to be a part of. Mm-hmm. Now, maybe the show wasn't great, but the whole process of it was incredible. I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
I had a great time. So I got to sit down there and I got to sit with editors for 9 weeks in their editing bays and just give them music and do like bumper music.
Cool.
Out to commercial when new cast members came out of the car and were dropped off at the hotel, the walk-up music, all that kind of stuff.
Very cool.
I did that. Yeah, and then COVID hit and everything got weird and quiet and slow like everybody else. Mm-hmm. And, we're going through this huge Hollywood transition flush down the toilet thing, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
These studios are closing. I have my neighbor next door worked on The Voice since day one. He's the set designer for The Voice. And he's like, there's just not a lot of work, man.
Oh, man.
A lot of my friends are not working at all. They're not getting the call.
Mm-hmm.
So, here, listen, dude. It's all about that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
As long as everyone has this in their pocket, and you've got TikTok, and you've got Instagram Reels, and you've got YouTube Shorts, who needs the studio system?
And there's some positives there as far as it really stinks for crew. I think that's what this whole AI stuff too is going to be really hurting the crew people.
100%.
But side note with your phone is, again, I get all kinds of analytics, whether it be for the movie or for my Instagram stuff or whatever it is. And you went through this because, we understand our age group. But remember when it used to be how big your TV was? You wanted to have the biggest screen there is. When I look at the analytics for Hostage, and it'll say what most, as far as what is it being watched on?
Mobile.
Like, not even close, dude. It's like, I would say 80%, whether it's from Tubi, Prime Video, or wherever the people are watching the movie, it's like 80-something% on their phone. Like, I want to see something big, but I guess you're like you said, it's your phone, and I mean, then it was like computer second, tablet. TV was like 1.3% or some very small. Everyone's watching it. Maybe they just live their lives. They do on their phone.
They do.
But now, do you think it can be a good thing? As far as more for the music angle, because I do think it's going to be a positive one for creative people in film and television. I think it's going to open up. It's going to break those gates open. I'm real excited about that. Even me personally. But how about where you think where the music is going?
At the end of the day, your main goal is to capture the eyeballs and the ears.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? And if it's going to be on your phone, then so be it. Because I don't know what the percentage is. What, 92% of the world has a TV in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's go back to, you said that everything's going to go vertical.
Well, I know a lot of people are saying that.
Okay, well, you love how that's the new buzzword. We're going to do verticals.
Yeah.
Do you remember Quibi?
What is that? I remember hearing that.
Katzenberg. Jeffrey Katzenberg launched a company about a year or two before COVID, and it was called Quibi.
Okay.
And it was these snackable vertical TV shows on an app.
Really?
Yes. And he got laughed out of the room, basically. But he hired some pretty, like, big, you know, he had a guy from Comedy Central. He had Reese Witherspoon's husband worked there. He was like a big TV guy or film guy. And he built this great company, right? And it was called Quibi, Q-U-I-B-I, Quibi. Weird name. And at the time, everyone was like, "What? Why would I watch a show on my screen? That just seems very weird." And the episodes were, I think, maximum like maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know they're supposed to be quick. Yeah.
Right? Because our attention span's nothing. So anyway, Quibi goes RIP. They just go out of business during COVID, right? And I think it's funny now that it's 2026. Now everyone was like, hey, it's all about verticals. We're going verticals. It's like, yeah, it's already been done.
Yeah.
You already laughed at it.
Have you watched a vertical? I keep hearing this, but I've never watched one. Have you ever watched a vertical?
Yeah, I watched the Quibi because I back in the day I had the Quibi app. Yeah.
But I guess now it's, you know, again, how they're trying to monetize it. I don't know if there's like however many episodes and then you pay to see some episodes, or like, or is it just
they probably run an ad before you watch it, because I know that TikTok is running ads.
And I guess Instagram is going to get big on this vertical thing.
Oh yeah. Look, it's the shiny new toy that everybody's got to run after. This also goes back to the beginning for guys like you and me, the creative people that think outside of the system's box. Is we really don't need the system anymore. I'm being straight up.
I agree.
Right? You and I could never do what we're doing today, this podcast, with this technology. 10 years ago, it would never have happened.
Yeah.
Right? Now, you produce these really cool, this interview series based on your project that you get to put out on YouTube or wherever you're distributing it. And you might find somebody that goes, oh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
Who are these guys? We never, it's all democratized. It's all, we're all on the same level now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and that's, I tell that to the young, you know, the actors. I mean, young, everybody's young, but it's like, it's such a great time to shoot short films, to you know, to put yourself out there, like on YouTube, you know, and all that stuff can help. Dude, you made a comment earlier about how many followers you have and this and that as far as what makes you important to the business. Dude, there's a new not that I'm not into Baywatch, but I was watching an interview with the actor. There's a new Baywatch movie coming out, and I think he said there's going to be like 10 main actors, which is already massive. And he said that the producer said half had to be influencers, no acting experience. But they
Sony's been talking about that for years.
But I could tell, you know, you're reading between the lines. This he's an actual actor, because he said there's more to it than just showing up. You know, you have to hit your marks. You have to, like, you've got a whole crew staring at you. It's not time to be nervous. You can't just go off the cuff. But I was like, man, he said, yeah, no, it's true. All they care about is what type of social footprint you have.
Because the studio gets free marketing through your channel. They're starting to, like, cast these projects based on your follower count. Again, chasing another shiny toy tail. If your project is incredible, you don't need that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't need the circus. That's just my opinion. Who am I? I'm just some dude, right?
But it's crazy. Excuse me. We had a little vacation, and we were at Disney World. and there was some kids in front of us, and were watching a show on their TV or on their little screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people, same thing, whether you're posting on Instagram or wherever, and I've gotten tips like, hey, bro, like in order to retain your viewers or to get more hits, more this, that, and the other, you have to have an edit every 2 seconds. You have to change your angle. You have to change whatever. These kids that were in front of us watching and I don't even know what the show is. It's like a chick is talking and she's like making stuff. But dude, it was like they're talking about, I don't even think it was 2 seconds. I think they changed angles just about every second. It was black and white. It was upside down. She was from the side. Boop, two things just blew up. And these kids were like literal zombies. They were staring at it just like, and I mean, is that better? Like I was thinking, why should I try to make something that was saying what they were watching said nothing? Those kids were locked on it like an umbilical cord. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know. Is it like you're trying to hypnotize people? It's crazy.
No, it's all about the hook. Now with music, the kids now, I hate to say the word kids. I mean, I'm an old guy now, but if you don't get to the hook within the first 30 seconds to a minute on a song, people are gone.
Really?
Yeah, they're gone. You gotta like get to the meat and potatoes like quick, because our attention span is no longer 15 minutes of fame. It's 15 seconds of fame. Oh,
that's a good quote. Scotty Diablo.
It's totally true.
I agree. Well, hey, so I don't want to keep you here forever. I want to ask you a question about your book.
I can go 3 more hours. I don't care.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's great. It's super cool because we didn't even get into, we will real quick. Talk about the coffee thing. Because
Coffee Bop,
because we had it on the set and everybody loved it. Just FYI.
Okay, good.
That's why you have it you're on the credits as well as an official coffee or whatever of Hostage. But
I appreciate that.
Now, how did that come about?
So, I've always been a chaser of what's down the line, or 10 years from now, or 5 years from now. And I love coffee. I've always loved coffee. Yeah. I'm a daily drinker, multiple times a day since the mid 90s. I don't miss it. I don't miss a day. I love it. And when I'm touring with all the bands, what do you do every single morning when you wake up into some Chicago, Cleveland, Oslo, Norway? I mean, I've been everywhere. What do you do when you wake up? You walk out of the hotel, you talk to the front desk, and you're like, hey, where's the best coffee around here? And that's just my thing. I love it.
Okay.
So I always wanted to do a coffee brand. And during COVID, I thought about it. I was like, I want to do a coffee brand. So I did some research. And at first, I wanted to open up my own brick and mortar coffee shop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Way too expensive.
Yeah.
It's just too expensive. It's just way too expensive. It's just insurance, people slipping on the floor. I don't need all that stuff. So I decided, why don't I just do my own coffee? I will find a roaster, and the roaster will ship it for me.
Okay.
So I found a roaster in Temecula.
Oh, cool.
So I built the store by hand. I learned it on YouTube. And that's another great thing about YouTube. You can learn how to do everything.
Yeah.
Right? I found this roaster, and I found the technology to build the store. I plugged it all in, did all the logistics, and I just created a brand, Coffee Bop.
Yeah. Now, and how's it been doing? Because I love the coffee. Just FYI.
It's great.
Shameless plug.
It's great. It's two. We've been open online for 2 years.
Now, how many different flavors do you have?
Oh God, like 5.
Oh, okay.
So we have pecan, pumpkin spice, Indonesian, Mexico, Ethiopia, and Honduras. Honduras? Yeah, I think. Yeah. And, you go online, you order the coffee, and magically it shows up to your doorstep from my roaster.
Now, do you also have merchandise for that? Because you have cool graphics. I mean, it's definitely got the cool vibe, the whole 80s thing.
Yeah, I have T-shirts and like bags and hoodie and stuff. That's like
cool.
that. I've always loved, And again, this goes back to the music thing. I always love the merchandise part of it, where you go to the show and you have to get the Black Flag t-shirt.
Yeah.
You have to get the t-shirt from the Cult show you went to. Not a cult, the Cult.
Yeah, exactly. But isn't it crazy? Like when you said that was the biggest whatever flex back in the days. If you went to a concert, is to show up to school wearing that concert shirt. Because
totally.
the only people you couldn't go to the store and buy the only place to get that stuff was you overpay at the concert venue. But I still dig it, And
I love it. I love it. Totally love it.
Now, how did it transition into the book? Because I was pretty excited when I saw that.
So doing the Coffee Bop, that's kind of like, honestly, kind of runs itself. It's weird. It's kind of like a really well-oiled engine.
Cool.
So that kind of runs itself. I check in every day and do all that stuff. And I, reach out to people that buy and say hello. I try to keep it like ground level.
Oh, yeah.
We're not some faceless entity.
Yeah, and I think that
So
means a lot.
that.
That's cool.
Yeah, totally. People love it. So then around 2017, I started taking notes about, I'm going to write a book. I've never done it. Everything's digital now. I want to create an artifact like the coffee that you can hold in your hand. Even though a book's been around for centuries, I want to do an analog product.
Yes.
And I have this story in my head about my hometown where I grew up. And I just I started writing, built this story. It took me a long time, actually. I built this story and I wrote this story and I called it Street Freaks. You have to read the book to see what that is. And again, this goes to the film, the future, being a creative. I self-published.
I was going to ask you about that.
I didn't go to Penguin Books. I didn't go to Simon and Schuster. I didn't do any of that stuff. Because nowadays you can have a creative idea and you can turn it over in no time to get it out to the public.
Yeah.
So it's available on Amazon.
Amazon, and then you have a website, Street Freaks.
Streetfreaks.xyz.
XYZ, because I remember that was a good video you put out.
It's not .com. I wanted something weird, freaky, so it's XYZ.
Now, are these characters, is it autobiographical or is it all fiction based on...
It's
because, I'll just be honest. All my movies, I have stuff from my childhood or back.
Totally, yes. It's fiction, but it's drawn from my growing up in Whittier, California. This is where... I have to say it because somebody might not know where that is, Whittier, California.
Well, you've got a lot of people over here that want to see it. I know both of my brothers, like I said, we were talking about it just yesterday about it because they were thinking, man, such a unique, just everything. It's just the melting pot. I remember things that became big. Like remember, I'll go back to No Doubt with Gwen Stefani, the way she dressed. And the whole world was like, oh, my God, dude, that was the girls at the Skate City Skate Park, in Whittier, California. That's how the girls dressed. Like, it wasn't like I thought she was hot, but that's how at least the girls that we were interested in, But, you're blending cultures, but it was like, it was like
Cholo culture meets madness.
100%. But I remember that, but like even talking with my wife now, I'm like, and she grew up in Downey, which is close. But she didn't have that vibe in Downey. Downey was different. Whittier had it.
Downey had the blasters.
Yeah, okay. And so when she said when that happened, when No Doubt hit, everybody started dressing like that. They did it in La Habra and they did it in Whittier. They had already been doing it, But so that being said, I'm really anxious. Now, how long is your book? How many pages is it?
Oh, it's an easy read. It's 60 pages. It's very short.
That's awesome.
It's an easy, and I created it to look like an old fanzine that you would find at a record store on the ground as you're walking out of the door.
Again, full disclosure here, you had a video or a clip on Instagram, but it was just the Street Freaks, just your cover, and I think maybe had some other colors going on. So anyway, and you're talking about your streaming culture. I had and I thought, wow, that's a cool image. I didn't know it was your book. So it was like, oh, okay, that was cool, and it was flashing, I think. But moving on. And then all of a sudden, you came out with You've Got Merch. And I think that your image on that shirt that you had is super cool, too. But when all of a sudden you came up, I'm like, no way, that was Diablo's book. I mean, of all the things that you just mindless, that I actually remembered, and I remembered the cover of that book. Yeah. So now how are you advertising for it?
It's DIY.
Okay.
There's a couple like Whittier-centric creators on YouTube and Instagram. So I've already reached out to them.
Okay.
And going to send them books.
Mm-hmm.
I said, look, no strings attached. I'm from Whittier. You talk about Whittier. You might like this story. Zero pressure, whatnot. I don't like to put pressure on people like, hey, man, I'm pitching you. Will you write about my book? I'm just, even when I was managing bands, I'm just not like that, right? Because to me, the music or the book is going to speak for itself.
And but the big thing, too, is you got to get it out, but you never know who's going to read it, and they're going to push it. And But the crazy thing is, Whittier is such a unique place. They actually have, I think this is going to be their second year, they have a film festival.
Oh, really?
And I was really close as far as reminding me when you talked about these guys you were sitting it to, because these people are like, and trust me, you're going to be on, they would promote it. And but it's like if it was shot in Whittier, had anything to do with it, people were from Whittier, but it's like, it was kind of cool to see it's got this whole like small town vibe, even though it's not a small town. But it seems like people are into it, like even my brothers. When you're too cool for where you live, when you're young. And then, they're that way and they go out and have a life and they come back and now that's important. Now they're on the Facebook. Older. Yeah, they're on the Facebook group, of Whittier stuff, Skate City stuff. But
so your brother, he always skated down at Skate City, right?
Yes, he was the gifted one with the skating.
That was South Whittier. That was like Telegraph or Leffingwell.
Dude, I think, of course they tore down Skate City, but they left the sign up for years, and I think it may still say Skate City Plaza, and they've got like a Mexican restaurant and some other stuff in there. But
what was that? Not to go off script here, not that we are scripted, but what was that skate ditch that he used to skate by your house?
Oh, the Euclid V?
Is that what it was? The Euclid V?
Okay. Yeah, and I got arrested there. Picture that. I mean,
are you still paying off the ticket?
No, but I mean, we were like, yuck. Well, the worst part is, what a hazard you think as an adult now, but it was a perfectly shaped half pipe. Right on the street was Euclid. And so, it was a nice half pipe. Part of it was, there was no fence, and then there was a fence on another section. And so I'm skating the part, that's fenced in, and all of a sudden the cop rolls up. So I yelled at my buddy who's in the tunnel, he's going to come out, and I'm like, bro, the cops. I got the cops that are here. But even back then, cops, they would just kick you out. Okay.
Yeah, so totally.
I yelled at him. I'm like, "Hey, the cops!" He freaking skates out. What? So we're both there. Cop makes us hop the fence, and I don't know if it pissed him off, but he's like, "Did you know you're skateboarding on private property?" We said no, and he's all, "Well, can you read?" And right behind us was a massive sign that said, freaking
no skating allowed,
no trespassing, whatever. Yeah. And I mean, dude, right then he put our boards in the back of his car and he hooked us up, dude.
Oh, really?
Bro.
So what were you skating back then?
Well, because of my brother, we always skated GNS stuff, and GNS, I think he got free van. But remember, back then, he was skating, he was sponsored, so he just got stuff. He didn't get money. He would only get money when you win a tournament. I think he said he's been in Thrasher, he's been in Skateboarder Magazine. And he says he probably made $500 in his entire career, and that was from winning it. Like not even winning, he come in third place at Skate City, I think maybe Lakewood, but anyway, but they would give you per diems, and all they would do is party with it. It was a different vibe.
Of course,
those guys probably nowadays would have been millionaires, but at that time,
right? Tony Hawk wasn't around yet.
Well, Tony came. Remember, I remember my brother, if skateboarders, but like he hung out with Neil Blender, Lance Mountain, all these guys that were, big then. But here comes Tony Hawk, and Tony Hawk was with his dad. And remember, it used to be like a total counterculture skateboarding. They were into partying. It wasn't a family thing. Tony came in with his dad, and he had a business model, and he did it right.
He changed the whole industry.
He wasn't like partying with the guys. You know what I mean? Right. They were like,
he wasn't Dwayne Peters.
Hey, Dwayne Peters. Right? Remember Christian Hosoi?
But
so that Long Beach, I was skating the GNS board. But talk about this. So I get hooked up. They handcuff us behind our backs, and I think we're like early high school age. Handcuff us, put us in the car, and I'm thinking I'm going to the gas chamber. All right, I'm like, oh God, man.
In La Habra, they have one there.
Yeah, and I'm in trouble. It's actually Fullerton PD. So right. My buddy is talking crap to the cop, and the whole time he's like, blah blah blah, whatever, and the guy's like, the cop, and we're driving on Euclid Boulevard. He says, "Oh, do you like to play games?" We're like, "What?" He's like, "Have you ever played Waffle Face?" And I still don't know what Waffle Face. And I'm looking at him like, "Dude, shut up." And my buddy's looking straight, and he pumps the brakes of the radio car, and our faces hit the cage. Okay.
Oh yeah, the cage.
And so that was the waffle part. But he pumps the brakes twice. I'm like, dude, police brutality, man.
Yeah.
And, but it did shut my buddy up. But the deal is, they put us in a holding tank, and then my mom, when they called her, she baked an apple pie so I could sit in jail and feel what it feels like and know I don't want to go. Because my buddy's freaking mom or grandma picked him up right away. I'm sitting alone thinking, this is it. This is my life, man.
Teaching you a lesson.
Yeah, it was, they treated skateboarders different, but at the same time, it's kind of cool to see what's become of skateboarding. I mean, what Tony Hawk just took it and to a whole new, they were saying during that time or when he started being big, it was like $150,000 a month. His skateboards, he was selling that. My brother's making $500. You know what I mean? But he was monetizing, just we talk about with music or with movies. His dad, they knew how to monetize it. That birdhouse, then he had his own skateboard. And he's doing what? I think he had something to do with Jackass. Wasn't Bird? I think he was a producer or something. I mean, he's hit. His hands are in all kinds of crap.
Was he as EP on the new Jackass, the last one?
I was trying to think. Or I forgot it was Birdhouse or Dick House. Was
Dick
one
House.
Of the sponsors. So I'm not sure if that was connected with him, but I know he's had little cameos. But it's like he seems to have. In fact, we just saw him in some other movie. I just watched the other day that he had a cameo.
He's kind of like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Where he just kind of shows up everywhere, right? He's just kind of like that guy.
Yeah. So I don't know how we got into there, where we got into the Euclid
we're
V.
We're just rapping. I love it.
But it is crazy, the little landmarks, that we've had that have disappeared. Whether it's Skatopia, the Euclid V is completely covered.
Upland
Skate. Oh, that used to be it. And everything's gone. Well, now they've got like skate parks and like, we have one in our city.
Right.
But
I'll tell you, man. I'll tell you, not to interrupt you, but writing Street Freaks and just getting older, it just made me appreciate pre-internet all the stuff that we've done. Going to record stores, skateboarding. We didn't know what we were doing. I mean, I had this conversation the other day with a buddy of mine. He's like, do you remember when we would be out of the house all day and your mom would just say, just make sure you're home before the street lights come on? It's kind of true in a weird way, right?
Yeah. But I mean, it was fun. But I think it was so much. It was, you had to have your own creativity. You know what I mean?
It made you independent.
I don't think I could be, whether it's ADD or whatever the problem is, I couldn't be like the kids nowadays where they're playing the video games and they're on the headsets and that's their fun. It's not being outside
sitting on Twitch.
Yeah, not being outside on, we were riding our bikes. We used to have to ride our bikes wherever you're going. But your day was
now
full.
they're riding the electric bikes.
Yes, they don't even pedal anymore. What the hell? Yeah.
You see all these kids on the electric bikes just taking over these That drives me nuts. I'm the old guy like yelling at the cloud now.
Yeah, I do. Trust me, I get it. But yeah, we had one neighbor in our kid in our neighborhood, but the part that I kind of liked about him, he had like a little marauding gang, but he was out of the house. I like seeing that his friends would come to his house on their little e-bikes and they would take off and freaking terrorize the city. But at least they're out. They're living. Dude, I'll tell you what. I'll just bring it up because that Doheny days. Picture that though, dude. We stayed in some crappy motel, and I remember the day that I spent the night. We did, but it was just like I can't imagine. It was an adventure. But I can't imagine how old we were then or how young we were then.
Yep.
My kids or kids of this generation doing what you guys did, and I just observed. But that was a big deal. You know what I mean? And you guys pulled it off. You guys, it was a great festival, and that was big. Like. It wasn't like you're having like a cul-de-sac, bro. That thing was big. You had big bands.
The Monkey, remember the
Monkeys? Yeah.
I mean, Sugar Ray. Remember Sugar Ray was at the top of their game?
I just remember my for whatever reason, my favorite was the Violent Femmes because talk about, they're like a well-oiled machine. It was like a 3-member band or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And they just walked out, freaking nailed it, and left. I was just like, dude. I was like, freaking Elvis has left the building, dude. Yeah. I don't know. I was like... anyway, I enjoyed that you gave me the opportunity to check that out. But it was like...
Yeah, it was fun.
But you did it. And I think sometimes this generation calls you a try-hard. Oh, hey, you're a try-hard. Well, isn't that the point? Isn't that just the point to try to make good things or great things?
Well, the tools have always been in front of us our entire lives. You just have to go into the toolbox and figure out what you're going to pull out to create what you're going to create at the time. I don't care if it's 50 years ago or now. Yeah. Now it's a lot easier. Now everyone's got the tools at their fingertips. But just do it. Just, I hate to use this cliche too, the Nike cliche. Just do it.
Say that. Just do it.
No, just get up. Yeah. Get up. I can't sit still. I have to get up every day and do something. I have to. Right? I have to be creative. I just have to do it. So, and I'm working on this other big project that I started last fall that I've been still working on. I can't talk about it now, but it's going to be a very good thing for creators. That's all I want to say.
Hey, that's all you want. I think.
Yeah.
And if you can,
transparency. I'll just say this. Like, I had this epiphany one day. I was taking an Uber, and I was talking to the driver, and I said, "Let me ask you a question. My ride is $40. Let's just say. How after you drop me off and you end the ride, how quickly does that $40 go into your bank account?" He goes, "Oh, I get it the next day."
Oh,
and I
really?
said, "Great. How come creators in 2026 can't get paid in real time?" I don't get
that's
it.
true. Yeah, that's true.
Why do you have to wait 30, 60, 90 days, 120 days to get paid royalties? It's totally ridiculous.
Yeah, you are right. That's definitely with the movie. It's quarterly, but you're like 3/4 off.
Right. So with this thing that I'm building, it's going to hopefully solve a lot of that.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'll just leave it at that. But another podcast down the road when that happens.
Hey, I am, you and I could talk clearly for, because there's quite a few things that I think I want to talk about, that we didn't get a chance to. So we got to definitely catch up again.
But we can do round 2.
Yeah, 100%. We got to have you on every week. Trials and tribulations of Scotty Diablo.
I will say this because I've been watching all of your episodes. You should keep going on this stuff.
I like doing it.
And what I'm saying is, I think that you're really good, and I think that you should look outside of the ecosystem of your movie and start interviewing people in the business.
Yeah.
With your identity attached to the show.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I would like to. It's of course it's getting a hold of, or however that works out. You're reaching out and but yeah.
Hey man, you're a producer. You can do it.
Yeah, it is a different world because you also have access. Now whether it be social media, different things that you have access to talent that you may have not. have that access to. So yeah, no, well, thank you for saying that. We do want to continue it. It's just a matter of, the direction and things like that. But
Yep.
now, so last note, since you kind of mentioned it before that you're always looking to the future, where do you see Scotty Diablo in, I would say, 3 to 5 years? Like where do you think you're going to be in 3 and 5 years?
It's going to be tied to this project that I'm building.
Okay.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Because you, of all people, as we've talked today, I mean, well, first of all, I knew you worked at a credit union. Happened to be the credit union that So you're a kid I knew in high school. You worked, normal guy in a credit union, and this should be something that everybody listening could see. You're not stuck. Everyone's like, oh well, I can't make it. I'm just a dude in Whittier. I'm just a dude wherever. But look at that. You went from small school, high school, had a normal job, but you never took your eye off the prize, and look at where it's taking you around the world. You got to actually, you're the unique person who's actually been able to have a profession in something they love. Not, I love something, but I've got to have a job that's going to provide me an income so I can live while I pursue this dream. You actually lived it, so that's, there's no roadmap. There's no, I'm going to take a college course and learn how to live like Scotty Diablo, but you did it.
And look, I don't look down on anybody that has a career at a company for 30 years or whatever. I've never been that guy. My mom was. My mom was the CEO of a credit union for 30 years. And I loved it. Yeah. It's great for her. Just wasn't for me. It just wasn't. I just got too squirrely, and I had to go pursue something I want to do.
But again, I think that the deal about you is, even while you were doing those jobs, you were trying to branch out. You weren't like, hey, I clocked out. I only work 8 hours a day. You worked your 8 hours a day, then you worked on your own stuff. I
was managing the bands.
Because all the times that I knew you and we would go check out bands, you had a job. You know what I mean? You were always doing something, but our life together was in the PMs. We were at night when we were going to the clubs, I dug that period in my life of seeing all those bands, totally. and good and bad, and every time, Elvis, stole a show. So,
I wish they were still around, but
Well, hey, I can't wait to see this new project. When do you think it's going to hit, or when do you think you could put some information out?
I'm actually building it myself. I'm coding the whole.
Oh, sweet.
Site. So I'm hoping for a beta launch at the end of this year, and then go public launch top of next year. So it's very, very tedious work. I have to make sure, everything that's built, everything that a creative wants, I have to make sure all the bells and whistles are there for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and this is all culminating from my whole life of working with artists, period.
Man, that'll be awesome. Well, I can't wait we'll definitely have you on the show and try to push that whenever it comes. Yep. But yeah, hey, it'll be a great, exciting next 3 to 5 years for Scotty Diablo.
And you. This podcast is going to blow up.
Let's see. Fingers crossed. But, well, hey, thanks again, though, Scotty, for doing it and for spending, almost 2 hours. So we're breaking records here, man.
I'm looking at the clock right now. No, it's great. I love it.
All right, brother. Hey, have a great day, and thanks again, man.
Thanks, dude.